And we're live. Hey everyone, you already know who I am. I don't even need to give an introduction. I'm just kidding. If I could edit this, I could just like put like laugh noises, but I can't really edit. But whatever. Anyways, my name is Kevin Ronner Hernandez. Some of you know me, some of you don't. But I am the host of the show. Series of podcasts, series of videos of me interviewing amazing people, amazing community activists, community organizers, whatever you want to name it. Um, and this is greening. What is greening? Well, greening is basically a series of videos of me interviewing a lot of people, amazing people in our community, people that you may not see on a regular basis or never heard of. Maybe you want to collab with these people. Maybe you want to join the organization. Whatever it may be, do it. Get in contact with these people and just trying to like show people. We have a lot of amazing people in our community. And yeah. And so we have an amazing interview today. Amazing interview with an amazing person who's involved in so much and who's spreading their artistic skills and everything. And so I'm like really pleased to announce who it is. But before we do that, I gotta give some announcements. Um, so recently, it's been a couple of weeks now that a former student at Pinole Valley, his name is Antoine Whitney, went missing. And so some of you heard of him, some of you don't. But either way, if you have heard of him and his whereabouts and that you know he's missing, please call this number. It's 510 621 1276. And we'll put it in the description down below. And please, if you know anything about him, and you know where he's at, please, his family wants him home. And we want to see him home and hope that he's doing great. So, great. Now we can start with this interview. So, I'm pleased to show who I'm going to be interviewing next. And today we're going to be interviewing the most interesting, great person in the whole entire world. So let me just give like a drum roll. Long, but Diana Diaz.
Thank you. Hey, go ahead.
Cool. Tell us about yourself. Who are you?
Well, hi everyone. Happy to be here. Thank you, Kevin, for hosting. My name is Diana. I use she, they pronouns, and I'm a local immigrant artist, organizer, and a social educator here in Richmond and Sao Paulo.
You heard that? That was a lot of things. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, this is going to be a great interview. This is going to be a lot of things. I hope you can stay tuned just to hear it. How are you? How's everything, Diana?
I'm doing okay. I think this week has been a hard one just because of daylight savings. But other than that, I'm really happy to be here. Happy to still be in this work with everyone.
That's great to hear. How's quarantine? It's been like 9 months, right?
It's been hard, definitely almost a year. I've been thinking about that. So March is my birthday month, and things closed down right around the same time. So I'm really reflecting on what that means for me and how that's felt. Just like having to celebrate my birthday sheltered in place, and just being at home this whole time has been interesting, very different.
I feel it. I remember I had to celebrate my birthday last year, and my birthday's in June. But happy early birthday.
Thank you. Yeah,
Okay,
tomorrow.
Cool. Oh, it's tomorrow? Oh, happy early birthday. Cool. So yeah, let's get right into the questions. But actually, before the questions, I actually want to do this small activity that someone suggested me. And it's kind of like a mini game. And so basically, we're gonna have 5 seconds to look around our room, not standing up, but looking at our surroundings and finding one object that relates to us that we could show and be like, oh, this shows who I am. So I'm gonna put 5 seconds on the clock. Are you ready? Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay. 5 seconds is up.
I got mine.
Okay, I'll show mine first. So I have this photo I made. I kind of painted the sides. I got this at a thrift store. And so basically this is a picture of me and my friends. This is Jeremy, and this is Isaac, and that's me with like my Yankee hat, and like we were just hanging out that day, and I haven't seen him in so long. And I just was like, man, I just need a picture of them. And so this is kind of like what represents who I am, I guess, because it's like I really value friendship, and like connection. And so like this is like kind of like what I believe in, sort of. Yeah.
The
Cool,
one
cool.
I got, it's actually a bracelet. One of my young people actually gifted it to me a couple months ago, and I feel like it represents me because it has a lot of parts and it has a lot of hearts in it, and I think that it reminds me of myself, and like the hearts representing all the parts of my identity, all the people that uh, are in my life, and all the experiences that I carry, and that it just comes full circle, and it makes me think about myself as being whole, as being enough, and reminds me that we need community and we need each other. And I just love that a young person gave it to me, because I also value youth relationships so much, and it just means a lot that they thought about it and that they wanted to gift it to me too.
That's so amazing. And that's
Mm.
also a great way to also segue to the questions. Um, let's actually start kind of small and kind of build up. And let's start with, what does the youth really mean to you? Since I remember you were talking about young people and gave it to you, and it really means a lot to you. So what does like the youth in Richmond or just in general mean to you?
For sure. Yeah. Young people, youth really remind me of power, resistance, creativity, imagination. And at the same time, they also remind me of people who are often misunderstood, not really believed in or trusted on. And so I value young people's voices. We were all young people once, and in the youth age range. And I think that youth are often not seen or heard enough or not listened to. And young people really know what to do, how to do it. You just gotta ask them. You just gotta listen to them.
Absolutely. I really felt that. And I know that a bunch of people at Pinot Valley really felt that too. Um, I remember you were talking about that you're a youth organizer. Can you actually talk about what youth organizing place that you work at and you help with help kids with or at?
Yeah, so I work at the RYSE Youth Center in Richmond. So this is an open space for young people 13 to 21. And so RYSE opened its doors around 2008. So it's been more than 10 years now. But we offer free programs for young people ages 13 to 21. And so we have 4 departments at RYSE. So young people could go to programming in each of these departments. So one of them is education and justice. Here, young people learn about resumes, career access, how to apply for college, how to apply for jobs. And then we have community health. So this is around health and wellness, mental health services, getting therapy, case management, anything that young people need. And then we have our third department, which is the media arts and culture. And this is where young people can access poetry, music production, event production, beat making, a lot of art creation, visual, and different forms. And then we have our organizing department, the one that I'm in, where young people get to explore organizing, its history. I learn about campaigns, and then base build to build more power in the community as well. And right now, we've actually been offering virtual programs for young people, and we've opened it up to young people anywhere. So youth can sign up to become members. Everything is free, and you have access to the staff, classes, workshops, supports, everything.
It's so amazing. I know a lot of people that does make productions and they do rap in our school, and I know they'll really be interested in those programs. How has Rise helped the community and the youth come together?
I would say that because RYSE is an open, safe, and brave space, it really centers love and healing and liberation. And it's a model for a lot of folks in the community to remember that like young people are powerful. Young people know what they want and need, and young people have been leading the way to a more safer and just world. And it just helps us think about relationships. I think young people often remind us that as adults, we can be harmful to young people, and it is our duty to acknowledge that harm and to repair that and work on building our trust with young people. And I would say that RYSE is that model of liberation, of healing, of centering young people, of building love and community, and using like art and culture as a tool to uh, like bring in like safe spaces, belonging, and organizing.
That's great to hear. Um, Despite your kind of your love for working with youth, what made you want to work with Rise? You know, I feel like that's an interesting question. You know, that you kind of pose that to people like the teachers or to like me, for example, like, why am I doing this? Like, because I love it, you know? So what made you, you know, want to be a part of the Rise team?
I would say it started a very long time ago. So since when I was in middle school, there I went to Helms here. I've always loved volunteering, so I was always helping classes. I was actually a TA for Dover Elementary School for 4 years, and I would go there every day, and I would help the young people with their homework or like run classes or cooking or anything. And then I kept doing it up until high school, and then I was involved in the San Pablo Youth Commission. I was a first chair to be reinstated into that space, and so I just kept doing youth organizing. But it looked very different for me back then, and then I went to school, and my major at UC Santa Cruz was community studies. And that major required students to do a 6-month internship at a nonprofit of our choosing. And so I started researching, and I learned about RYSE. And so interestingly, I didn't know about RYSE when I was in high school. I went to Richmond High, but I learned about RYSE through research. And I realized that RYSE was the only place in Richmond that had a youth organizing model that was very different than what we're used to seeing. It was more about young people leading, young people sharing their vision for the world and for their community, and young people really having that power. So I applied. I got to do an interview, did a tour of the space, and I just loved it. When you go in, you see there's murals everywhere, there's art, like young people are always filling the space. And I was just lucky to be accepted because I got to do 6 months with RYSE, and I got to live at home during that time. So I was going there Monday through Friday, learning about their organizing, about their gender justice framework. I was there during a time when there was a lot of gender-based violence in the community. And so those conversations were just very important, and we were just always talking about them. But in this space, I learned more about young people and what they need and how they want to build relationships with adults and how we should be engaging with everyone. And so after that, I had to go back to school to finish my degree, but I was able to finish school in 2017, and then the position just happened to open up to be a youth organizing coordinator. I applied and I got accepted into the role, and so I've been doing youth organizing with RYSE since then.
That's so amazing. I love hearing like journey stories. It's like so amazing how to like just hearing out people's like what they've experienced and like how they got to like the position they are, and like people like me and like people like the students of like everywhere, you know, at Pinole Valley, Hercules, Richmond, everywhere, you know, and they're like gonna start their journeys pretty soon. And it's like so amazing just to hear like other people's stories and like, you know, even though it wasn't perfect, even though there was like some flaws, you know, they're happy the way, you know, the position they are, and they're still growing and they're still going up, you know. So it's like really great to like hear, you know, your journey and just like everything, you know. It's so motivating and just like inspirational. So I really thank you for that. Now we're gonna take, oh, actually, another question. What stories do you have about RYSE? You know, you've been in the organization for so long, you know, what stories, you know, do you have to share, if there is any?
Yeah, I think my favorite ones are when we go away from Richmond for conferences and get to explore different states or different cities. I think um, a lot of young people in the community never get to explore outside of Richmond unless it's like a going away, if you get to go away for college and things like that. So for young people to be able to leave Richmond, even if it's just for the weekend or a couple of days, and like build relationships with youth across the state is really amazing. I think my favorite have been when we've gone to LA and young people have gotten to see each other win awards. I think that's always really beautiful to have young people support each other and like want to be there and say like, hey, I'm here with you in this moment. It's just really exciting. Um, Other places, some of our young people have been able to go all the way to the East Coast. And I think that's also really amazing because young people have fun. Like you get to see them in a different lens and environment, and they are definitely, they feel free and they feel excited to be somewhere else, and they just enjoy themselves. And I really love seeing young people in like their most loving, happy, and joyful selves.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing. I know supporting each other and like through these times also like as a youth member, it's like supporting like my classmates or just my friends. It's like so in like it's like what we need right now, you know?
Mhm.
So it really means a lot. Um, Down the grapevine, I actually looked at your Instagram, and I'm actually gonna put her at and down in the description below, so you could like follow her, support her art and everything. I heard that you're an abolitionist, and so I was thinking about it. I was like, what is an abolitionist, and like what is abolition in general? And so the audience and me want to know what is abolition exactly.
For sure. So I can definitely start by saying that like the movement for abolition or abolitionists called for abolition of slavery in the 1800s. So Black folks really believed that slavery could not be fixed or reformed and that it needed to be abolished. So abolition is about building safe and healthy communities that do not depend on prisons and punishing people. So when we think about the prison industrial complex, it didn't always exist, so it's actually about 200 years old. So that means that investing in prisons is not what abolitionists want to see done. So we don't think about funding police, like we're actually more about reducing and eliminating harm and the number of people that go into prison and get incarcerated or detention centers, migrant centers. And so through these abolitionist frameworks, we really center relying on each other for support. So it always goes back to support and trust and caring for each other. So abolition is about taking down systems and structures, but replacing them with supportive systems, with systems of care and love and relationship. And so I like to practice abolition through like my organizing, my art, through humanizing folks who have been incarcerated or who are currently incarcerated. And it's about working to reduce that harm that people have gone through and supporting people to meet their basic needs.
Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, yeah. um, what are some visions? I know you named some visions about abolition and like the views that they have. However, just to be more specific, what are some visions that you see in the future for abolition?
For sure, there's so many. I think about like what systems could actually be in replace of what we currently have. So I think about what does our healthcare look like? What does wellness look like? What does instead of like just legal shifting, so people are always creating legal policy, but when are we going to see the cultural shift and like the actual practice? So I think about the vision is that we feel it, we see it in our communities, that when you walk into a space, you sense that cultural shift of a family, of community. I think about accountability sometimes. Uh, in the prison industrial complex, harm is usually seen through like that lens of punishment. You did something wrong, I'm gonna lock you up. And for us, it's like we don't need to be locked up. We need support. We need to be held accountable. We need to be taught to have conversations with each other and to be able to say like, hey, I know I hurt you, and this is what I'm gonna do next to either repair that or to not do that again or to just unlearn things myself. So I think about a new world and like trusting relationships, and I think about healing, and I think about we would definitely treat each other so much differently because we know that we'd be responsible for each other. I love this quote that Asada has, like it is our duty to fight for our freedom, and it is our duty to win. We have nothing to lose but our chains. And I think about as a community, as a people, as a world, it is our duty to be there for each other. Like we got to be accountable for our health and wellness, and we got to be there to support and care for one another.
Wow. That was inspirational. Honestly, like I was just thinking about it. I was like, dang, like the quote, you went bang, 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 quote, wrap it up. I'm just like, that should just be the interview, you know? But we have more questions. The audience want more questions. I'm like, I got questions too, you know? But what you said was like very true, you know? Like everything, like having conversation and your vision on just like peace and everything is just like, you know, that could actually happen if we just all connect together. However, connecting, you need like an audience and you just need like a platform. And if that, so just having that conversation with like trying to like get the information and just like providing those students with it or like just people in general. However, how can the youth support or gain these resources or learn more about abolition in general?
For sure. I would say that young people can definitely access a lot of the information online. But do know a main resource that I always look to is called Critical Resistance. They do so much amazing work on abolition, uh, the prison industrial complex. They have so many infographics. I know that sometimes hearing abolition is really hard to comprehend or understand. There's sometimes a lot of language that is just not accessible to folks, but having conversations with people is always the most important because at the end of the day, you can read so much on abolition, but if you don't practice it, it doesn't really work. Like it's important to know the history, where it comes from, who it's grounded on, because that's like the world that we live in. And but I would say that the most important thing is talking to each other about abolition. Know that sometimes it feels uncomfortable, but we need to be comfortable with being in that uncomfortability because we need to go through these conversations with each other once we start talking about what do you think about prisons? Where did you learn about punishment? How do you feel about folks who are going through this? And what would you replace a system like that with? Then we start thinking about the whole imagining piece of abolition, which is the whole piece on creating a new world. And it's just important to talk about it, learn the history, practice it, continue to ask questions. I know that one person can't solve all the answers or build the world that we want to see on themselves. So we need everyone, and we need folks to be doing this together at your own pace, but for sure, like not giving up on learning.
For sure. And she means you and me. Like, you know, everyone that's like watching the show. And it's like, man, like I feel like all movements come with like unity, you know? You just always need like a connection with each other and just like build like a community in which like you guys have like the same views and like be open to like have conversations because I know in my AP Lang class we're learning about we learned about having conversations and having arguments, but most of the time arguments don't even have to be like really bad or toxic. Sometimes it's just like the normal conversation, respecting each other's views and like trying to get into like a point where it's like this is what's right, you know. It's just like getting to that point, you know. So before, there is an article published by Vox. The article touches on a phrase that everyone has heard at least once in their life: defund the police. What does it? What does that even mean, Deanna? What does defund the police? Does that mean like something bad, or does it mean like something good?
Thank you for asking that. For sure, as definitely something that came up during this time in COVID, but for sure, defunding the police, simply put, it means reducing police department budgets and then reallocating that money towards other essential services that are often not supported, not invested in, kind of like housing, education, employment, mental health care, youth services, anything along those lines. But it really is just about shifting money from police and using it to invest in young people, families, and communities. And so it doesn't mean taking down the whole system or abolishing how we were talking about earlier. It's really more about divesting and reinvesting. So at the end of the day, the structure will still remain. But the goal is that slowly we're just going to start shifting money because where you put your money, that shows your values. It shows what you believe in and what you want to see in the world. So if you see that your city budget has more than 100K on police and like less than that on community, then you know what they care about and who they want to see supported and thriving in your community.
Got it. Got it. How does that connect with abolition, the views of abolition?
I think that there's steps for sure. Defunding is a part of it, but it's not fully abolition because defunding still keeps a structure where abolition, like we want to take that structure down. We want it to slowly just not have it exist, but we want to replace it with a system that will actually work and a system that was created by us for us. Defunding again keeps the system, just takes money away, but it keeps the system running.
Absolutely. Got it. Cool, cool. Now, let's kind of double back. And I remember you talked about your artist. And so, unfortunately, I don't really have any pieces. Oh, wait, I do have a piece. Let me just pull it up right now if I could get it real quick. Whoa, what is this? And, you know, this is our, art piece by who? Diana Diaz. And so, can you just briefly talk about, we have 4 pieces and you already know we got to talk about them because this is like something amazing. And we have a lot of artists in PV, a lot of amazing artists who are inspired by a lot of movements. And so you being like a community organizer, a youth organizer, and an artist, it's very inspirational to just to share your art pieces. And so I just want to ask you personally, just to like give some detail and some description about these pieces right here.
For sure. Thank you. And yes, I definitely, before I start, I want to say that art and organizing go hand in hand. When you think about organizing, the very first things that come to mind are banners, protests, chants, art, and music. So art has always been at the root of organizing because we've always used some part of our culture and our identity to express how we want to feel and what we need. And so for me, it really has been about like documenting my experience as an organizer and naming things. So like this one, I did a portrait of myself, and the quote is by Audre Lorde, who's an amazing Black artist and writer and author. So the quote reads, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house." And for me, it's just a reminder that we can't be living the way that people in power have been wanting us to live for so long. That we have our own strategies and tools and ways of being. And it reminds me that we have always existed before colonization, and that our roots have so much culture and power in them. And we know what we need, and we've got each other. And at the end of the day, we are who we need to be liberated and to find freedom and liberation in ourselves and in our communities.
Absolutely. And this is the colors and just everything. I feel like I'm not really like more of like a digital art person myself. I focus on like hand and like portraits. However, like this piece like really inspires me just to like try it out and see what's gonna happen. And I really, really love this piece. And we actually have other ones coming up. Oh, it's right here. We have one. And though we already know, like, we could kind of assume what it means. What about we get you to talk about it, the actual artist who made this?
Thank you. Yes, so this is a picture originally of one of our radical monarchs in Richmond. So for folks who don't know, Radical Monarchs is an organization that centers on supporting young girls ages 8 to 11, so Black, brown girls of color, to build sisterhood, to talk about power, to talk about organizing. And so I really love this picture because this is one of our Radical Monarchs from Richmond. I'm one of the Richmond troop leaders here. And we went to a Black Lives Matter protest at the Civic Center this past fall. And it was really powerful for me, and I wanted to document it in a digital way because a lot of people often shy away from talking to young children about anti-Blackness, racism, transphobia, everything. But if we're talking about abolition, about healing and creating a new world, we gotta support our younger generations in learning that. And our children really do understand. A lot of girls here who are 8 years old up until 11, they know so much about racism, anti-Blackness, gender. identity. They've just never been asked before, and they've never had someone to really listen. And so this was for me a call to action for folks that we gotta raise anti-racist and anti-Black children. Like, it is our duty as non-Black people of color to engage our children in learning about identity, sexuality, race, and that it might be hard, but it's worth it. It's part of the movement. It's part of our role, and the children themselves will benefit so much more from having these conversations with you.
Whoa. This is like the exact same thing that happened to my last interview. And if you haven't seen my last interview, you should do that also. You should look at it. Last episode, first episode, second episode, you already know. But anyways, I'm just speechless. It's just like everything you say is just like boom, 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 boom. And it's just this piece is like talks about so much and has like a bigger picture, you know? People could assume it's like, oh, like Black Lives Matter, like, simple. But there's so much, things that go into like an art piece, and people should like really understand that art does have meaning. It has a lot of meaning, you know. And just gonna say segue to our next piece. Whoa,
Yes.
whoa, and this is a lot to take in, you know. Colors, like I love the colors. Like honestly, if I gotta be honest, this is one of my favorite pieces. Like out of the pictures, like this is one of my favorite pieces. However, I'm wondering who is Juan Jose?
Yes, so Juan Jose is a currently an immigrant youth from El Salvador who has been detained in prison for the past 2 years, more or so. And I learned about him a couple years ago through some organizers in the California Immigrant Youth Justice folks. And they were organizing to get people to learn about Juan Jose's case and to advocate for him. The system really doesn't want him freed. He's been inside prison for many years now. This is actually also his birthday month. A couple of days ago, he turned uh, maybe 21, 22, I don't remember, but he's been in prison for a very long time. And he's actually been organizing from prison. And I made this piece for him when we were going to his court cases before COVID. So I was attending the sessions where judges were trying to decide whether they were going to free him or deport him back to El Salvador. And a lot of the judges were really unempathetic. They weren't listening. They didn't believe Juan Jose, and that really infuriated me. So I started just creating pieces about him to spread the word and to show people and humanize his experience. Um, I've been writing letters with him from prison. He's an amazing poet. He's an organizer. He's organized hunger strikes. He's talked about resisting from prison. And so when I think about organizing, I think about all of the amazing folks who are incarcerated and are doing like the real organizing from the prisons, just like him being a young person who doesn't have blood family, but has community as family here that really want to see him freed. But he's still incarcerated, and folks are still organizing to try to get him out and to be supported and have a support system because he has so many people here that really care about him.
That's really crazy. That's really crazy to hear about because, a lot of people they hear about these stories and they don't feel that like like I know some people that think that oh these aren't real, like like in the end of the day they're safe. It's like anyway, this is like real life. Like this is like a real story that's happening. You personally went to those court cases and like you saw him, and so you heard about him and you make these pieces and it's just like dang, you know, like stories like these, like they happen like to a lot of people. Like this is just one story. There's many stories out there that, there's people in hiding, in America just because they want to be free. I know people that they come to America not, because like they have problems all in back in El Salvador or back in, in Mexico, so it's like it's really crazy to see that and it's very unfortunate, you know. And I'll definitely leave some information in the description below about Juan Jose, and so you guys can know more about him. And transitioning to our next piece, and our last piece, unfortunately, because she has a lot of pieces, but you know, whoa,
Yeah.
whoa, I wonder who's that.
Right. No, so this one again, I think what comes easy to me, what I've noticed in my digital art is self-portraits. And I've always tried to question that, like, why is it so, it's a lot more, it feels safe for me to do that. And I think about what it means for me to be in my body in this world, as I mentioned, my identity, undocumented immigrant, organizer, woman of color, first gen. There's so many parts. And so as I was creating this one, I titled it Home, because as an undocumented immigrant, I always think about, or people are always asking me, where are you from? You know, are you going back? And I always got to remind myself that I got to find a home wherever I'm at, because legally, we don't really know what's going to happen with immigration policies, even though right now the Dream and Promise bill passed yesterday, creating like a citizenship pathway for undocumented folks who have DACA. It's still not it's not always as real. It may not always happen in that moment. And I always gotta remember that outside of policies and bills and structures, building a home within my body and where I'm at and the people that I'm with is far more important for me, because that always goes back to my health and wellness, my mental health, my joy. And if I can't find that within me, like where else am I gonna get that, you know? And it's just a reminder that home is where your body, where you are, and that that I am enough in this moment, and like that's fine, and that's all I need to.
That's really crazy to think about because, like, I never really thought about home. You know, I feel like there's like a lot of definitions of home. Like, this is like where I'm at. This is my room. This is like my home. Like, this is where I feel comfortable and most a part of like my house. However, like wherever we go or wherever like whatever happens, like we kind of always have to just like find home and like feel that like this is the place that we feel comfortable. Like you said about mental health and like also like self care. You know, it's like very important. Um, what that's actually asking a question about the art piece. I see that you put I think those are sunflowers.
Mhm.
Why specifically did you choose sunflowers and not like a different flower?
Well, I always think about, well, yellow is my happy color, so yellow really makes me feel alive and at home. But sunflowers mainly because of its history of how resilient they are, how they thrive so much, and how they need sun and energy and light. And I think about we as humans, we gotta like nurture ourselves in order to grow and to thrive and to live for as long as we want. We need that nurturance, we need that love and joy, and we need to always like give ourselves more than what we give to others, because as folks who maybe might be like so empathetic or loving, we always pour into someone else's cup before us, and it's a reminder that like you need you first, and you need to take care of yourself first before you go on and work on taking care of the entire community or your folks.
Absolutely. I know it's I know a lot of youth organizers that told me and gave me advice about because I'm an environmentalist, like I want to focus on environmental justice. I want to promote public health and health equity. However, I can't do that without me being good first. And I'm in like a good state of my mind and I'm good to like talk to other people because you matter also. You're a part of this community. You also matter, you know? So it's really great that you said that. And
Mhm.
also, since this is your last piece, and this was like awesome, let me just zoom in real quick on that right here. That's her Instagram. This is your art Instagram, right?
Yes. Mhm.
Awesome. Follow her. I'm gonna put it in the description down below. Definitely like talk to her. Talk to her about art and stuff.
Mhm.
Let me just screen. I feel like people could take a screenshot right here. Cool, cool, cool. Let me just stop sharing real quick. And as an artist, what goals do you have in the future for your art? I feel like a lot of artists have like goals in mind and like what they want to do or what they want to experiment. what do you want to experiment, or what are your goals with your art?
Yeah, thank you. I'm definitely thinking about launching my own business. So even though right now I just have an Instagram account where I do mainly digital art here and there, some uh, jewelry making. Sometimes I get into like knitting and doing things with yarn or photography every now and then. I really want to launch a business that speaks to like my identity and my experience as an undocumented immigrant woman of color in the specific city and community. So I'm looking into like launching my website, being able to support other young people who want to do art. I also do poetry on the side. So I really value storytelling and young people having a safe and brave space to write and to heal and to like tell their own stories. So I want to build a business where I get to share my work with other folks, but also work and collaborate with young people and community members and doing the same or just adding on to it. I really envision myself writing a poetry book and then supporting young people with poetry and writing or dance and music and just continuing to share that practice with our elders too, because I feel that a lot of our elders don't always have space for art in their life or haven't always been introduced to it. And given my experience and how healing and amazing it's been, I think that everyone should have access and opportunities to center art in all the mediums that it comes from in their life.
Equity. That's like, that's basically equity right there. Visions of equity, everyone getting access to something, healthcare, and in this case, art. That's like super important. I know in Pinole Valley, we're trying to launch a art organization called HEVAC. And so it's like, dang, like art's so important to me and to like a lot of people, a lot of students in Pinole Valley. And I'm like really happy that like we could hear from like other people in neighboring communities, just to hear like, these are like artists that are like making amazing pieces. Your pieces are so amazing. And I'm sure that a lot of people in my school and me in general just want to, collaborate with like, and I really support business, like making a business out of this, and like using your activism and your voice and like your pieces just to promote like abolition, and a lot of things that you believe in. And what's also crazy? You're also a poet, and you also make other art as well. Poetry is an art form, and it's just like a lot of people in my school also like poetry, and so it's like you guys already have a connection. You guys already have like things that you guys can relate to, and it's like crazy. And I always try to get into poetry, but maybe I need to like talk to you about it, get some tips.
Yeah,
For sure,
definitely.
for sure. Um, Now, let's talk about like the youth again. How can the youth help, with like contacting you or like getting involved with the RYSE Center or, any other things? How can they like get involved as well?
Yeah, I would say that for young people, I would encourage folks to continue learning, to continue asking questions, and then also sharing what you think and how you feel about what you're learning, being open to being uncomfortable, having your ideas heard by someone else. And I think that for young people, I would just continue folks to organize in any way that you'd like. I know that organizing usually tends to be like there's an image for it where you maybe the main image that comes to mind is like an organizer with a megaphone. They're in front of hella people and they're just doing their speech. But organizing looks so different for everyone. And there's different parts and roles that young people could take in organizing that truly I believe that in the movement and organizing for folks, there's a role for everyone. If you are an artist, you're already an organizer. If you like to do event planning, that's organizing. When you think about protest actions, people got to plan these things. That you need someone who can get you to point A to B with safety, with support, with resources. If you like supporting people with food, when you think about, again, actions or celebrations, folks need to be fed, folks need to be taken care of. So again, there's a role for everyone and you can always develop skills or already have the skills that you need to be the organizer that you want to be. But for sure, organize, engage with your educators, support each other. I know that there's already a lot of young people who are organizing in the county. For me, like my vision for Richmond and Contra Costa is that young people in all the schools are just connected, that they're talking to each other. I think about what would it look like if students from Pinole, Cerrito, Kennedy, Richmond High, like if they just started meeting and organizing at a large scale, that would just be hella powerful. It already is as it is now, because I know that schools have so many clubs and young people are really invested in their work and their vision for the future and the present. But I'm like, what would it look like for young people to talk to each other across the community and to really build power together? And I think that's always something that I look forward to and I want to support. But yeah, engaging with each other, ask questions, learn about issues. There's so many issues happening, and not just here locally, but think about how are issues that are happening across the borders or across the seas impacting us here? How are we impacting them? I think that sometimes we forget that things that happen in the United States are also impacting people across, and that it is our duty to also take care of each other overseas and to be aware of what's happening and to bring those issues back and give them a platform so that people learn and are more aware of them.
Damn, like that's like all I gotta say. You know, I don't know why I always get like this, man. Like it's just like feeling like, whoa, you know, it's just like what you said is just like so true. And this is my vision for this series. You know, I want to get people from like neighboring communities to come together and collaborate. Youth and like from like Richmond, Hercules, and El Cerrito and Richmond come together at like, you know, maybe a Zoom meeting or, you know, whatever it may be, and like making something happen. Because if we all come together and unite, great things are gonna happen. You know, anywhere,
Yeah.
Richmond, Pinole, like everywhere, and it's just like so amazing. And so me bringing like these people, like yourself, like amazing people, amazing community organizers, amazing activists, amazing like everything. It's like so inspirational just to like come together and like have like a great conversation. This is not even an interview. This is damn near like just like a conversation. Just all of us just like coming together and just like discussing like, man, like this is it, you know? And so I really appreciate like you coming through. I also appreciate like all the great words that you said and like everything. But I know that the students of Pinole Valley want to get in touch with you. I'm pretty sure like you know, we love you, you know, I love you. You know, we have mad love for you, and you know, we just want to get in touch with you. You know, so how can like the students of Pinole Valley and myself, you know, because like you know, I'm trying to collaborate with the art, get in contact with you.
Of course, I think I'm always down for young people to engage and to reach out to me. For sure, I'll share my contact information and platforms, but I'm always down to support youth-led organizing efforts. So if young people want to start clubs or just have questions about social justice issues or want to figure out how do you unpack things, how do you talk about this issue, how do you build relationships, anything, like I'm always present and available. It's my role in the RYSE Youth Center to support young people and youth organizing, but even outside that, I think that I'm always available and open for folks to reach out to me, and I'm always ready to engage and to offer my support, whether it is for organizing, school, higher education, or even just you as a person, because I just like to remind folks that we're people first before we're anything else, before we're workers and students and organizers. We are human first, and we have needs that we need to get met, and we have things that we want to see ourselves accomplish. So I'm here for the whole you know, and I want to see all young people thrive. But you all can have access to my work email. It's just diana@rysecenter.org. I'll send you my personal email as well. Folks, I'm down for young people to text me. I'm usually always available. And then, yeah, my personal IG is always there. Art IG. I also have a poetry Instagram, and I can share those with Kevin as well. But folks can definitely reach out, share, discuss. I'm always down to be here and support you.
Dope. That's like crazy. You know, I'm for sure gonna follow you. I know I haven't followed you. I've just been super busy. But you know, I'm gonna follow you after this. It's gonna be great. You're gonna have like a bunch of followers after this, and everything's gonna be great. You know, um, man, we've gone through a lot. Honestly, you know, this conversation has been great. And so I gotta ask my last question. Any final words? Anything you want to share? Any advice? Anything, Go for it.
For sure. I think well, first, thank you, Kevin, for hosting and for having me here and for continuing these conversations because these are really important. I value this space and the work that you're doing. So I want to shout you out and appreciate you for all this labor. It's really amazing to see you doing it. And like for everyone, like keep it lit, stay grounded and rooted. I know that there's so many things happening in this world that it's really hard to go day by day, but really I know that you got adult systems, adult folks who really do care about you, who want to see you thrive and be well and who want to support you. So know that like I'm here for you. I got you. You got other folks. Um, but definitely always stay grounded and rooted in what you believe in. Don't let folks take that from you, your values, your creativity, your humbleness, your joy, your love, like that's yours and no one can take that from you. And it's really important for you to know that and to have that and to continue advocating for yourself. I know that as organizers, we're always like, I gotta fight for someone else. I gotta advocate. I gotta, be a really great accomplice or ally, but also like advocate for you. Be that advocate that you're being for someone else and make sure to show up for yourself too.
Yeah. Again, like this is like the fourth time this interview. Like, oh my gosh, like I'm just so happy. Like, thank you so much for being here. Like, I have so much words to tell you. It's just like, thank you so much, and like I really appreciate it. And I'm like, this really motivates me just like do this more. Like, I want more people to come on and like I want to expand like connections and like get people to meet more people. Add to that, actually, like things could happen. Um, yeah, this interview is great. Having you is great, and also I also wanted to say like, man, like when I started screening, I wanted you to be a part of this. Like at least one interview, maybe two in the future, but let's see. Let's see. But I gotta wrap this up. Unfortunately, this has been a great interview, honestly. So I just wanted to say thank you everyone for watching the whole thing. I really appreciate this. You know, if there was an audience, we'll be clapping right now. Actually, I'll clap right now. For Diana Diaz, I already know like it's yeah, poetry. I forgot. Yeah. But that's the interview. I don't know when I'm gonna have the next episode, but I could tell you that the next episode is gonna be about environmental justice again. However, this person is gonna be out, not from the Bay. He was in the Bay. It's confusing, but yeah, it's gonna be about something. However, this is the interview. Amazing interview. Anyways, thank you, Ms. Diaz or Diana Diaz. I said Ms. Diaz. Diana Diaz for everything. And yeah, so great.